Hi guys, and welcome to the second video of the day for my channel, The City of Starlight. So in my previous video I shared with you the books I bought this month and they're right over here. So if you are interested in these and more about the content of the books, please check out my previous video. So last month I started reading The Lost Tutor by Philippa Gregory and I finished it this month. So it took me a while to get through this book. It isn't that big, but it just dragged a little bit too much for me to get through it quickly. So the book is divided in three parts. The first part is about Jane Grey, the 9 Days Queen. The second part is about her sister Catherine Grey. And the last part is about Mary Grey, the third Grey sister, also known as the Lost Tudor Princess. And so the first part follows the 9 Days Queen, which was very interesting for me. I already knew a little bit about the history of this 9 Days Queen, but it was very interesting to see how she came to be queen and why she was only queen for 9 days, because Mary Tudor found that she was the true heir of Edward Tudor and was the next queen of England. So she imprisoned Jane Grey in the Tower, and because she wouldn't relinquish her faith because she was a Protestant and Mary was a Catholic, she was executed a little while after being the 9 days queen. So in the second and third part we follow these two other sisters, Catherine and Mary. So first is the story of Catherine and how she falls in love with a young boy and she marries in secret and therefore is disgraced, and the queen is very displeased by her because at that moment the queen didn't want any of the true heirs of the Tudor line to be wed and be able to have children, because they would also be heirs and a threat to her throne. And the third part follows the youngest sister Mary Grey, who actually makes the same mistakes as her older sister Catherine. So she also marries without consent of the queen, but she's the only one who survives to tell the tale. So she is known as the Lost Tudor Princess and was the only one to be able to come out of the tower alive. So her first sister was executed for her fate, and the second sister was also executed by Queen Elizabeth because she disobeyed her queen and was a threat to the throne of England. So it was a very good book and I liked the history in this book very much, but the second and the third part were very much alike and they dragged a little bit too much for me. So I gave this 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I'm very happy that I read the story, but I wasn't as pleased with it as I thought it would be. And normally I really love Philippa Gregory books, but this one was a little bit of a disappointment for me. So during the time I was reading The Lost Tudor, I also picked up A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I already read this book, but I really wanted to reread it to be ready for the next chapter in this series, which is coming out in May, and it's called A Court of Frost and Starlight. So I really needed to reread this book during the time that I was reading The Lost Tudor, because I was a little bit in a reading slump because the story from The Lost Tudor dragged a little bit too much, and so I decided to pick up this one to counter the effect of the reading slump. I am currently also rereading the second book in the series, A Court of Mist and Fury. Both of them I read on my phone as an ebook, so I didn't read the physical book, but I read it on my phone because it was just easier for me if I was traveling from and to work on the train or during my break. I am about halfway the second book at the moment. I am going to try to read all 3 of them before I read the next one in the series, but I don't think I will be able to reread A Court of Rings and Ruins completely because it's just such a massive book. And then the last book I read this month is Daughter of the Burning City by Amanda Foody. So I really enjoyed this book. I read it in about a week, and it's about this girl named Serena who is able to create illusions that are very lifelike. So she has created a whole family, and together with them she works in a traveling circus which is owned by her father, and they perform this kind of freak show. And at a point in the book some of the illusions get murdered. They are trying to discover why these illusions are getting murdered and specifically how they are getting murdered. So during the book you get a lot of clues about what is happening and you start to suspect anyone that is involved, even at a point that I was suspecting Serena herself, that she unknowingly would be able to murder her own illusions. So you got a lot of clues, but you weren't able to put the pieces together until the very end of the book, which made it very exciting, and I really couldn't put it down until I knew what was happening to the characters. And a fun fact is that you get some notes of the murderer in the book. For example, here you can see one of the characters, and what their habits are and how she could be killed. So you can see that for all the members of Serena's family throughout the book, and I thought it was very interesting, and it made it so much more exciting for me to read, because you saw every once in a while that this character were targeted by the murderer, and you had a feeling that they had to be quick about it. And so I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I really recommend this one. So in the beginning of the video I said that I had something special planned for next month, and actually it's about a reading challenge from one of my favorite booktubers, namely Bookroast. I will link her profile down below if you want to check that out. And she has created a Harry Potter themed reading challenge. So the idea behind it is that we are all students at Hogwarts and we are going to try and get through our OWL exams. And it looks like this. So it has the Hogwarts crest on top. So all the classes are on this side, and then the books you have to read for the classes are on the other one. So for example, the first one is Ancient Runes, a book with a symbol on the cover. So you have every time a class linked to a book you have to read to pass that class. So the other classes are Arithmancy of Magical Creatures, Charms, Defense Against the Dark Arts, Divination, Herbology, History of Magic, and Transfiguration. So you can choose which owls you want to sit and try to pass. And she has also included a grading table. So the first 3 are the poor grades, so if you haven't passed your OWL exams. So the first one is Troll, do not show up at your OWL examinations, so if you don't participate in this challenge. Then the second one is Dreadful, start but not finish any owls. So if you try and start the challenge but you don't finish any of the books you want to read. And then the last one for the fail grades is Poor, sit only 1 owl. So if you only pass one of them, your grade is poor. And then we have the pass grades, and the first one is Acceptable, sit and pass at least 2 owls. Then the next one is Exceeded Expectations, sit and pass at least 3 owls. And then the highest mark is Outstanding, sit and pass at least 5 owls. So the challenge is for the whole month of April, and if you want to join, there's also a Twitter page made for this by Bookroast. I will link it down below with the other ones if you're interested. This Twitter page is made so you can share which owls you're going to sit and which books you are going to read for this. So for example, I picked my first book already that I'm going to start in April, and that is for the Owl of Ancient Runes, because you had to read a book that has a symbol on the cover, and for this one I picked the Wicked Deep because there is a pentagram on the cover. So this will be the first book I will start to read for my OWL examinations, and I hope to finish at least 3 owls by the end of this month. So if you're interested in joining this reading challenge during April, please let me know in the comments down below. I am very interested to see which owls you want to sit and which books you chose for your topics. And check out the links in the description if you want to find out more information about which topics or which classes are linked to which books. So that was it for this month's wrap-up video. I hope you enjoyed my video, and if you have any questions or suggestions, please leave them in the comments down below, and I will see you guys for my next video. Bye!